Greetings to everyone. We are doing something different tonight. Just leave it up to Pastor Pamela, and she will do something different every time. Because I've had some difficulties with my internet service, um, I have not been able to come on like usual. But we're going to make up for some of the time that was lost for this week. However, first of all, I just want to say once again, welcome to our anger management 101. That's what's scheduled for tonight. But also, we're going to do our wounded families 101 tonight. And as I forestated a while back, that we can do that because it all goes hand in hand. So we're going to remind you that everybody is welcome to the broadcast, but we want to remind those who are local, who are Hagerstonians, please get your applications, your certification forms so that we can present the information. We're not going to present your name, but we will make sure that we provide them the information to say that we're serving low, moderate income families and those who are needing our services. We thank you for coming on and taking advantage of the knowledge, um, not only the knowledge, but the awareness that you can get to make yourself healthier individuals. We welcome you again, and we're going to begin the broadcast with our food for thought for tonight. And as you can see, or if you can't see, but you can hear me, the food for thought tonight is know who you are as God's child. Many of you have deep feelings of insecurity about yourselves because you can't accept yourselves for who you are. If this describes you, are you tired of playing games, wearing masks, trying to be someone other than who you are? Wouldn't you like the freedom just to be accepted as you are without pressure to be someone you really don't know how to be? The enemy's plan is to deceive us into continuing to base our worth on our performance and then keep us focused on miserable and unreceptive to his blessings because we don't think we deserve them. It's so important to have a positive sense of self esteem, self value, and self worth to be secure in who we are in the spirit. Remind you, go back to what we have talked about in the past threefold nature of man. The spirit is one of those threefold natures. And to truly like ourselves. We learn to like ourselves by learning how much God loves us. Once we become rooted and grounded in his love, we can come to terms of peace with ourselves and stop feeling insecure. In spite of struggles and imperfections, which everyone has, God loves us with an everlasting love as we are. Doesn't mean that we don't need to change, but as we follow the guidelines that he has set before us, we can make changes. For I will restore health to you and will heal you. That is a promise that God has told us all. So no matter what state you're in, what you're going through, what disorders you have, what behaviors you have, what ailments you have, God said that he will restore health to you and will heal you. So we just love that. And I just want to go into our PowerPoint tonight. And we're going to begin with our wounded women and or wounded families, I should say, not just women, because we are including the men as well as the children. in slide one, it talks about the trauma, the hope, and heal and love. Trauma has visited us, and love and hope will heal and sustain us. And that's what we're going to deal with first: trauma, hope, and heal and love. I am so reminded how that, yes, I've been traumatized, but because of the hope that I have and because of his love for me, his healing love, I'm able to deal with it, heal from it. And trauma, as we looked here in our book, it says it's a beautiful, in this beautiful world, there is trauma. And what turns a stressful event into a traumatic one, it is the intense feeling that your life or safety, or the life or safety of a loved one, is in imminent, unescapable danger, or that you are no longer in control. Many people out there today feel like they have lost control, that they don't have any safety. But you know what? Tonight we're going to talk about hope and healing love, because we want to encourage you to let you know that don't give up, because you are safe in God's arms, in his hands. Wherever you want to be with him, you're safe. And I know that I'm using more scriptures or food for thoughts in our classes, in our broadcasts, because like I said before, I can't escape the spiritual side. I can't escape the body, soul, and leave the spirit out of it, because we are made up of body, soul, and spirit. We're using yet the holistic approach. And I'm hoping that I'm not offending anyone. I just want to help you understand better how we are becoming healthy individuals. Okay? And how are you going to intertwine, put together, collaborate, whatever you want to say? How are you going to put these two different topics together? But you can't be traumatized without having some anger. And I'm focusing on we as adults, the ones that are listening, most of them are adults listening, but you have not grown up. You might be be an adult, but in mind, you're still children. So let me take you back to your childhood. The trauma and shock of early childhood abuse often, not sometimes, but often, affects how well the survivor learns to control his or her emotions. So, a lot of us are up in age, and the shock of the trauma has jeopardized them in so many ways to being evil, angry, enraged. And people don't understand why they're like that, because they don't know their story. Because a lot of you will not tell your story. But we talked about in some of our broadcasts that you cannot suppress your feelings. You cannot suppress your anger. You cannot suppress even the trauma that has happened to you. And we're going to later get involved with some of the trauma that has hit home with you. Whether trauma has its origins in early childhood, is associated with a loss, or is a part of post-traumatic stress disorder, which we know as PTSD. It is often a major side effect of the trauma itself and the process of recovering from it. And anger and trauma are deeply linked, but anger can provide the path to freedom from trauma. Is anger a bad thing? We talked about that some time ago in our anger management. And there's good anger and there's bad anger. But what does God say about it? He said, be angry and sin not. So anger is not sin, but how you handle it, it can become sin. Mm-hmm. I can be so angry that I decide to murder. That's a sin. That's a crime. So we have to think before we react. So hopefully the nuggets that I give tonight will help you rethink and take charge of your life and go back to your childhood trauma or traumas and get a hold of yourself and feel like you are getting in control. So that's the main focus tonight, is take control of your life. Amen. Okay, I wanted to show this slide here. It says how to heal from trauma. And we have a picture, a diagram here of somebody going to talk to somebody who they feel comfortable with, and somebody that will listen, somebody that cares, because everybody don't care about what you're going through. I know we always have somebody say, how you doing today? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And they want to change the subject. They really don't want to hear. Yeah. But some people care to the point they will sit and listen. And not only will they sit and listen, but will advise you what you need to do. If it's going to see a counselor, if it's going to see a doctor, if it's going to see somebody that can help you. I don't advocate medication. But some people need medication. And he that is sick needs a physician. So we are going to use the holistic approach to deal with everything that we need to deal with. We're going to let you know you got to get in touch with your feelings. Get in touch with your feelings, and you got to have self-care. And there's other things in this diagram that I wanted to mention, but I can't see them, and I can't make it any bigger, but I'm sure that the next time I will have a larger diagram. All right, there's many kinds of trauma. And I have listed some here, I believe. And I want us to move on. I think I did anyway. Okay, I hope I didn't. Well, I guess I haven't listed, but anyway, the various types that I have here are community violence. What is community violence? Was exposure to intentional acts of interpersonal violence committed in public areas by individuals who are not intimately related to the victim. And one unfortunate common example we see is the random and discriminate killing of civilians, like in war zones or as in the case in school shootings. We've been having a lot of that lately. It's calmed down some, but every once in a while we hear of a school shooting and it's getting out of hand. So we have to, and then the event that took place at the substation, I believe it was in New York. That's community violence. Another trauma is complex trauma, exposure to multiple traumatic events, often of an invasive interpersonal nature, and the wide ranging long term effects of this exposure. Disasters, natural disasters, such as hurricanes. That's why I will not move down to my dad's home in Pensacola because they have a lot of hurricanes. And I try to go during the season that they're not acting up. I've seen where there's been many damages there and all up and down the Gulf and other parts of the country, the United States. So I'm like, I know that some areas are more safe than other areas during these seasons, but I guess everybody has a reason why they don't live in certain areas of the United States. For whatever reason it is, so be it. But I don't like hurricanes. Earthquakes. We don't normally have earthquakes here in Hagerstown, but I remember the effect of one in this area some years ago. I think it was around, I want to say 2006 or 7. No, it was before, after that. I guess around 28 or 29. And I'm sitting in my living room on the sofa, and uh, one of my nieces said, "Auntie, that's an earthquake." And I just knew it was some blasting that was taking place. And she says, I know, because I lived in California. I'm like, okay. And then finally it came across the screen that we had an earthquake. So I don't think I would want to live in that area of the United States where they constantly have earthquakes because people have people have been destroyed. They've lost a lot. They've been traumatized by these different seasons, tornadoes, wildfires. When I was ministering in California a couple of years ago, uh, you could smell the smoke where I stayed, and even at the church, but I didn't see the fires. Thank God, and He kept us away from it. But it had been going on for such a long time. And then we went up to the mountains just to see how bad it was. And it was pretty bad, but God kept us. And then we was this tsunamis. I don't even know what that is, and I guess I should have looked that up, but uh, that's a different disaster, and floods, as well as extreme weather. Now, we do have a lot of floods here. Yeah, because we uh, are in the mountains and we don't have many drains. And then the drains that we do have here to get clogged by whatever reason, dirty people trashing them, sticking stuff that shouldn't be in the drains and what have you. But it is a considered a flooded area, as well as extreme weather events such as blizzards, droughts, extreme heat, and windstorms. Thank God I'm not in extreme heat climates or areas, but I don't like the cold either because my body just can't take it. But when you have extreme cold, and as you get older, you can't take it as much. But I know some people love the cold, and they'll go out in the uh, below zero weather and feel good in it. But that's a trauma for me. Domestic violence, when an individual in the home purposely causes harm or threatens the risk of harm to a past or current partner, spouse, or family member. Our early childhood trauma, that's what I was saying in the beginning. A lot of times we see people who are older, they're adults, and they went through some type of early childhood trauma, traumatic experiences that occurred to them when they were children. Medical trauma, a set of psychological and physiological responses of children and their families are single or multiple medical events. I can even say that even physical, when you have some physical uh, problems that that's medical, that you might have uh, cancer, that's traumatic. You might have liver damage, it's traumatic. So having things like that is very traumatic, but you can have hope and you can heal. Child physical abuse. A parent or a caregiver commits an act that results in physical injury to a child or adolescent. That's so sad. I see adults going through uh, different things like that, but when a child has to go through, that's because they're helpless, and I can identify to that, and I can have compassion for those who have been traumatized in that area, but you don't have to remain the same. That you can be healed. Refugee trauma, trauma related to war or persecution that may affect the mental and physical health of families long after the events have occurred. Now, coming up in the church, I've seen a lot of pastors, elders, deacons, just lay people that have been in the military, who've been part of the war, and they didn't get any debriefing. They got issues. They've been traumatized. It's hard to deal with them because they have been traumatized. So I kept telling my mama, y'all need help. Y'all need to go be debriefed, but, and then they want to know why a lot of them were self-medicating. Because that's all they knew how to do was to drown their feelings in whatever they were taking. But there is a better way. And hold to that thought, a better way. Child sexual abuse. Any interaction between a child and an adult or another child in which the child is used for the sexual stimulation of the perpetrator or an observer. This is usually about ascertaining control, not about the sexual act itself. Now, see, that's something I learned. They don't usually go and mess with somebody their own age or size, but it's always about being in control. And that's sad how you want to control a child. That's sick. And that person needs help, but it does happen. So also, this is usually about ascertaining control and not about the sexual act itself, but sometimes sexual trauma can happen in the family context, as in the case of incest. That is traumatic. That is a psychological issue that needs to be addressed. And I'm here to tell you don't surpass it, or suppress it, I mean, but tell it. Because God knows I would have, because I'm transparent. And people think it's funny when I say it, but I gotta be transparent. That's where my healing comes from.
Yep.
That's where I can feel safe because somebody will listen if you tell the right person. Terrorism and violence, mass violence, acts of terrorism, or community trauma in the form of shootings, bombings, kidnapping, hijacking, or other types of attacks, often committed to advance a certain ideology or promote a political or religious agenda. There are a lot of sick people. They might have different ailments, different disorders, but they just sick. Also, traumatic grief, ongoing difficulties over the death or loss of someone that interfere with everyday life and make it difficult to recall positive memories of loved ones. It sounds like we need to have some people go and get the help that's needed in order to heal and have the hope that they need. Intimate interpersonal violence, such as torture, sexual assault, and incest. This type of trauma often deeply affects survivors, many of whom internalizes the unwanted or touch and turn the experience into self-blame. Trauma can happen once, as in an earthquake or a car accident, or over and over, as in war zones or abusive homes. It can be difficult for families to give children the sensitive care they need and deserve without help and education, which is why many mental health professionals and volunteers around the world, not just here in the United States, are hurrying to give assistance and information to traumatized children and families. You can't just deal with the parent or the parents or the children. That's why we said wounded families, because you got to deal with the whole entire family. And what trauma has affected your family or those in your care? Now, I'm getting ready to present we just talked about many of these um, traumas, and we're going to go over to our next slide. And we got about how long? We got about 15 more minutes. Children are beautiful, perfect the way they are. Individuals full of energy and the desire to imagine, wander, and explore with the potential to blossom. They are delightful beings, worthy of safe upbringing, unlimited opportunities, and unconditional love in order to meet the full possibilities of who they are and how they were created to be. Love and hope can heal us from trauma. Trauma loses its power to ruin us when love and step in.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma terrifies, but we also can say love and hope comforts and inspires. Trauma destroys, love and hope rebuilds. Trauma robs, but love and hope restores. Trauma separates, love and hope unites. Trauma leaves scars, but love and hope tends them. Trauma revisits, love and hope protects. Trauma is the intense feeling that your life or safety, or the life or safety of a loved one, is imminent, unescapable danger, or that you are no longer in control. The National Child Traumatic Stress. Oh, wait a minute, I skipped something. Gives what? I can't see it. So I can't go there. That didn't come down like it's, Live viewer comments up on StreamYard. Click on the comment to show it on screen. Okay, we got someone who is commenting. Wow. Welcome, whoever it is. Did they hide it? It's gone. What happened to it? Whoever it is, if you would like to repost, we will like to share it if you want to be shared, but I can't see it. But you can post it on Facebook and it'll come here. It says your comments will show up on StreamYard. And I was trying to click on the comment section here. It's a live viewer, but it's, I don't know where it went. Yes, he does. But I love the fact that we are here and we're able to, I'm going to get this down packed. It's not showing up, but we're going to find out why I can't see. Click on comment to show it on the screen. That's what I did, and it's not doing it.
It's okay.
But I am so happy to see that now the person is gone. I had one person here showing, but we welcome you and we thank you for desiring to comment. And I want to say here that children are trauma are, and I want to remind you, they're beautiful as they are, with new reasons to doubt their beauty, with new reasons to doubt their beauty. When children have been traumatized, as we mentioned earlier, their self-esteem and everything is just low. But I hope somebody here tonight can share this with their children. It's important that you make sure that your child is a healthy human being, mentally, physically, spiritually, and every which way that they can be whole, WHOLE. Because when you don't know the trauma that they have faced going to school, you don't know who's bullying them, that's traumatic. You don't know what's going on physically because they're not sharing with you, and I was looking at a medical picture the other night, and how that the medical examiner was doing an autopsy on a 12-year-old girl, that she was a picture of health, and that she had gone on vacation with some family members, and when she got out the water and collapsed, to look at her, you would thought she was fine, that she would not have died. But they tried to resuscitate her, I don't know how many times, for like an hour, and with no success. But it took weeks, months, because they wanted to make sure that nothing was given to her on the beach or nothing happened at the beach. But come to find out, I said all that to say this: she had a virus that nobody knew she had, and she picked it up from something or somebody, and it caused her heart to stop. So, what are you saying? Connect with your child. Make sure that you know what's going on in their bodies at all times. If you're not taking them to the doctors often, just get a physical checkup to make sure that nothing is going on. And before you go on trips, make sure that everything is okay, because you don't want your child to be in statistics of a trauma that took place out of town, and you weren't there to be there to say goodbye, or you just it's really sad how that happened. But we are learning each and every day that we can do better. Bringing awareness, bringing education will cause you to rethink and change, so that, and this is hope and love too that we're presenting, because if we did not present this, it wouldn't be in the love that we have for God's people, God's children. Everybody is somebody, and we want to make sure that everybody is knowledgeable of how to get through the traumas in their lives, and not only how to get through them, but be back in control of your life. So I'm going to put the clock on, and I'm going to see if there are any questions or comments at this time, and prayerfully they will come through. So we're going to take about 30 seconds, and we'll come back. Welcome back. Are there any comments or questions?
Or concerns?
Yes, or concerns or anything. If you don't want to talk about it here in the broadcast, you can email me, Pastor Parson 57 at Gmail, and I would gladly try to answer your questions or chat with you through email. And just want to say we'll be back online tomorrow night. I'm grateful because I was hoping and praying that we did not get cut off tonight, and we didn't. So we made progress. And tomorrow night will be Parson's Acts. And I do apologize once again that every broadcast that we normally do on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. We haven't been able to be consistent with it, but we're getting back to it. And I believe that I made some progress yesterday working and day before working on the internet with my internet provider and my Wi-Fi provider. So with all that said and done, I just wanted to share with the Hagerstonians that on Tuesdays from 1 to 2:30, we are offering wounded families classes at Second Christian Church, 65 West North Avenue. And on Thursday, we're offering Parsons Acts at the same location at the same time, 1 to 2:30. So if you feel like you want to be in some face-to-face classes, come on by. We will do you no harm. And COVID's not there, but we do. We will tell you that we are wearing masks. We are protecting ourselves because we don't want the virus. So,
Amen.
but sometimes we need to see one another. We need to talk to one another, and we just want to make you welcome. So, with all that said and done, we will let you know that we're concluding this broadcast, and we want to say God be with you until we meet again. Bye bye.